take.
Okay, I know that there's many dimensions to your life and your work and your business. We could spend a couple of hours actually kind of delving. But I'm going to focus specifically on KK, the author, because there's some real nuggets, some real value, and some wisdom that comes through what you've condensed into your books. And so let's start with the first one, the climb. So that has a very interesting story. In fact, it's a reflection of a specific climb and a specific journey. And it's an amazing story that I think brings together so much of who you are and what you've accomplished and continue to do. So why don't you tell us the story of the climb?
That always brings a smile in my heart and on my face, just how beautiful and unplanned just that whole journey, that whole process was. I had been going through what I think was a rough patch in my life. It was one of those times where I needed to reset press the reset button, so to speak. But just like COVID-19, forces beyond ourselves will actually do that for us and help us to get back onto the journey that we are supposed to be on. So, and I remember how broke I was, where the catalyst of the process was. And Carl Bates, through Sadar Group, they were hosting one of those expensive 2 to 3 day conferences, and it was held at the Radisson Blu in Sandton. And because Carl Bates was somebody I'd been following for about 2 years at the time, I thought, and I'd heard him talk about this conference a lot. I said, you know what, I want to go and attend, and I'm going to put together all the money I had left and attend this conference. It was an amazing conference, and I'm so happy that I went. And, when I arrived there, I believe it was the second day, they had Ronnie Mule, who was one of the external speakers who would come in after a couple of hours once the traditional conference stuff had taken place. And he spoke about his climb of not only of Mount Kilimanjaro, but of Mount Everest as well. And I was blown away, right? I was so blown away. And at the same time, I'm like, wow, that's so adventurous. I'd never done anything that adventurous. And this was 2010, maybe? Yeah, around 2010 or the year before. So, I get the years wrong. But anyway, I had been a coach and a consultant for a few years already by then. More so of a consultant. In those 3 years, I'd been planning to rebranding myself. And I had been speaking to so many business coaches, so many business people, people who are professionals, business executives, entrepreneurs. And all of this time, as a grand goal and a grand vision person, I believe I'm a visionary. So I like to sell big goals to people and help them to achieve those big goals. And 80% of the time, people are just not ready for it. And they're not ready because they believe they don't have what it takes. And I so wanted to prove to them that they actually do. And you can have conversations about business in general. And, people will say, yeah, but KK, you've started so many businesses, so you know what you're talking about. You've done it before. And so every time I talk about them either growing their businesses or starting a new business unit of some sort, they just didn't take me serious because I somewhat had the talent and the experience. I said, okay, I'm going to bet you that I can do something I'd never done before. And another excuse that I hear a lot is I don't have the money to do what you're asking me to do. And I said, okay, I'm going to do something that I don't have experience in. It must be massive. It must be big. And secondly, I mustn't use my own money to prove to you that if you follow these principles that I've always trying to show you and share with you, that you can actually achieve this massive goal. And then when I heard Ronnie Mule, that's when I picked the goal. I said, that is the goal that I must go for, which is to climb on Kilimanjaro, which is the highest point on the African continent. I'm not going to use my own money. And it was clearly something I'm not used to doing. I'd never done before. I don't climb mountains. I'm not necessarily an outdoorsy person. And that was when I discovered the destiny and the goal that was going to help me encapsulate this dream and this big vision that I can sell to people. And for about 2 years, I was kind of just taking things slowly because people were not taking me serious. I was like, you know what, I'm going to show you. And then in 2013, late 2012, I met the late Dr. Tani Ndlovu, who was one of the people that, supported me a lot. She actually coached me, throughout the journey, how to climb mountain, starting with how to tie my shoes. Okay. And it's about learning how to put on the shoes before you start your journey and how to tie them right so that when you walk, when you walk on that journey, you are very intentional with the walk. And that's where that journey started. And a few months later, I find myself, I believe, just before seeing my entire life flash right in front of me, not because I was facing death as such, not literally, but metaphorically, spiritually. And I tell people that I literally died on that mountain when I reached the summit. And the person you all see today, and I know you've come to see that, but when I summited that mountain and came down, I was a completely different person. The old KK died on that mountain.